All right, welcome back, everybody. We are on episode 9, Two Ball, Two Bold. I'm Marshawn Parker,
And I'm Nathan Tomlin.
and we like the reception we got from last week when we got the opportunity to talk about top sports video games. And we carried that over to another topic that we thought everybody would be interested in, which is top sports movies. Uh, this might have been our hardest episode yet because there's so many to choose from that we both admittedly struggled with trying to limit it to the number that we wanted, which is, we kind of both want to bring 10 to the table. Otherwise, we're going to both be here for about 3 hours. And I don't think a 3 hour podcast is very entertaining unless you're Joe Rogan. We're not there yet. Right. So, but yeah, you guys are stuck with us. Episode 9, two ball, two ball, two ball guys who are two bankers by day and like to talk about sports. So did you want to start us off?
Yeah, and just to preface, this is more for each of us, at least how I approached it. These are the 10 films for me that were most enjoyable. They don't necessarily mean they were the best film in terms of Oscar worthiness, things like that. There are some just absolutely phenomenal films that don't have as much rewatchability, non-sports related, but a film to kind of think of like that is like Schindler's List, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Not something I'm going to watch all the time, you know.
No.
So I didn't pick movies that I thought were great, but I don't watch a lot. I picked the films that for me that I watched a lot growing up, or more recent, depending on when they came out. But I'll definitely start, and I actually went and ranked them from 10 to 1, and this is probably all wrong as I go through it. I'm probably going to change my mind 5 or 6 times, but I'm sticking with
That's okay.
what I wrote down. And I don't know about you, but as soon as we said we were doing this, I immediately wrote down off the top of my head, when I thought of sports movie, like almost 30 films without
Yeah.
even looking. And I didn't go back and look at anything else. I just said, well, these were the ones I thought of, so I'm going to go from these. So there's probably films I missed that you may bring up, or vice
Hmm.
versa. Um, and for me, sports was introduced to me a lot by my dad. Um, his favorite sport was baseball, and he always coached me in little league and everything. And so growing up, baseball is my favorite sport. And so out of my 10 films, I have I have five I have five baseball films. So half of
Wow.
them are baseball.
Wow.
Um, because that's what I watched a lot growing up, and just
Hmm.
the rewatchability to them. So um, I'll start with what I had at number 10, and it's a baseball film. It's a little bit of baseball history. It stars Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, A League of Their Own.
Hmm.
Uh, which is a great film. And my dad used to watch History of Baseball by Ed Burns on PBS every summer. He used
Hmm.
to record them on VHS until I bought him the DVDs later. And that's actually where I first learned about, the Women's Baseball League. It was during World War II when all the men, were sent
Went off to
overseas
war.
to fight the war. So they needed entertainment. And so when it was actual baseball, it wasn't softball, it was baseball. Um, there's no crying in baseball. I mean, Tom Hanks is, one of the greatest actors of his generation, and he was perfect in that film.
Yeah.
It had a great combination of comedy. I mean, I just remember the first time they meet him as their manager. He's late to the game, comes in like the third inning or something, drunk, still not
Hmm.
hungover, drunk, and this is a dugout full of women, right? Um, and just pulls it out and takes a leak right there in the dugout. And I mean, it was a good film. It was a fun film. We used to watch it all the time, and had good history to it too. And obviously, there were sad parts of it.
Yeah.
Gina Davis, her character, her husband had gone to war, came back
Hmm.
injured. You know, um, but it was just a fun film. It was funny, great acting, um, and historical, on top of that. But that was one film that I was like, man. And they made a show about it. Apparently, they made a TV show.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
watch
think
it,
on
so I have no
Amazon.
idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. But that movie was great. I've probably seen that movie. I'm not even lying to you, over 25 times.
Wow.
Um, but that's I'll start with that one as my number 10.
Okay, well, so let me ask this question:
Have you seen
Did
it?
she
Have you
drop?
seen it?
Of course. Did she drop
Oh,
the
okay.
ball on purpose?
Oh, 100%. She's
Yeah,
the best
I agree.
player.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, she dropped it.
yeah, yeah. She wanted her sister to have that moment. It
Yeah,
meant she knew it meant more to her.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I mean, since you went baseball, and that's interesting. Half of your list is baseball, right? Half of my list, believe about half my list is football, and and probably half my honorable mentions is football too.
Hmm.
But you went baseball, so I'll go baseball. Uh, I have two, baseball movies on mine. I'll start with Major League.
Hmm.
How could Major League not be on there, right? I mean, everybody liked Willie Mays Hayes. Um,
Wild Thing.
Wild Thing, and who's the commentator? Is it Bob Uecker?
Oh God, yeah.
You don't like him?
No, 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 yeah, yeah. No, I said
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say who doesn't like him,
Yeah.
right? But the movie was, it has the premise of what the the vast majority of successful sports movies are, which is you're rooting for the underdog,
Mhm.
right? You're rooting for the underdog. This ragtag bunch. The owner wants to sell the team and send them to Florida, I think it was, or
The Oakland
Miami.
A's.
Yeah, 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 right. So and they come together and they get it done. They win the division. So it was a great movie. Like I said, it has memorable characters. Everybody remembers Wild Thing. They remember Willie Mays Hayes. Uh, the manager was funny. I can't remember his name. Uh,
Mhm.
Part two,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, but Major League Baseball.
yeah, yeah. So Major League made my honorable mention list, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So me and you talked about it. We could probably do a top 10 on just baseball, just football, just basketball, just
Oh
racing,
yeah,
just fighting, and all
yeah.
10 films would be, you know, amazing films.
Oh yeah.
Um, so Major League was, yeah, it was on my honorable mention. It just missed. It just missed. I wrote down, I narrowed it down to 15, and then from there I ranked them from 15 to 1. So it was just outside my top 10. Um, but my next one at number 9 is not really a traditional sport,
Hmm.
um, but it's a comedy. It's a movie that I have seen 30 times. It's on TV all the time. We
Hmm.
actually just watched it with my son, edited, of course, on TV. Um, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a
You can
ball.
dodge the ball.
Uh, Dodgeball, the true
Yeah.
underdog story, right? Vince Vaughn is one of my favorite actors. I love Vince Vaughn. I uh, I can't think off the top of my head of a movie Vince Vaughn's been in where I didn't like it.
Hmm.
Um, he's hilarious and he's great in that. Ben Stiller, it's good because it's a different character for Ben Stiller. He usually plays the same guy, the loser
The straight
who gets
man,
the
or
girl,
or yeah, yeah,
right? But he's a loser who gets the girl, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like all his movies. And then this one was different. He was the bad guy.
Hmm.
And he did a great job in that part. And it's funny because the girl, I can't remember the name of the movie, but that's his wife in real life,
That's his
right?
wife. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I think it's funny, but it has Alan Tudyk, who's the pirate in it. It has Justin Long before Justin Long really started getting into stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, there's so many good scenes in that film. Jason Bateman on ESPN The Ocho, just
Yeah.
dude, the guy's not even there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a fun film. It's a movie you can watch over and over again. You can just turn it
Hmm.
on and just not pay attention and just kind of do something else, and it's you can enjoy it. So I had Dodgeball as my number 9.
Wasn't that what nobody makes me bleed my own blood?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's
yeah.
been
No,
so. Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a real good one. And it was. I'm pretty sure it was like on my honorable mention. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you brought it up. So then that it got its proper shine. So we're going next. I'll go with, since we're going comedies that's sports, but outside you know the major sports, right? This is one of the funniest movies in the last 20 years. Um, Talladega Nights.
That's my number 5.
Talladega Nights is. I could. We could pause this podcast right now. I could go sit in that living room and watch it and laugh. And I don't know if you know
Sweet baby
John Wiley.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like he's the man. He had a beard. But
Come
John
at
C.
you like a
Riley.
spider monkey. Oh, that
It's
scene
every
gets
character
me,
on there is
man.
funny. So I like comedies. I like comedies where it's just the subtle lines you could just laugh
Hmm.
at. And even just like the part where he's trying to compromise, he's trying to get him to say he loves crepes. Yeah. What do I do with my hands, right? Uh, but John C.
No,
Riley is not a
no.
comedic actor. Do you know that, right?
Ah, well, he didn't start that way, but man,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, he's involved into that, but he started as a as
Step
a
Brothers is one of my favorite
dramatic
movies
actor.
ever.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no. I agree. But he started as a dramatic actor who kind of fell into comedy.
Mhm.
And because he takes his role so serious, he was able to, adapt and do well in comedy. I guess it would be kind of like the flip side where you have all these comedic actors who do well in dramas.
Steve
Uh,
Carell. Yeah.
exactly. But that movie there's so many memorable lines. I like when the dad's getting kicked out of the school and he was like, "We were cellmates. You got payback coming." But just there's so many lines in that movie. It's every movie here, because to me it's like you said before, it's got to be something that's rewatchable. Like there's a movie, not sports related, but there's a movie I watched. It was one of the first big like Netflix original movies. It was called Beast of No Nation, and it starred Idris Elba, and it was basically about children armies in Africa. It's an amazing
Mm,
movie. I cannot
that's
watch it a
heavy
second
though.
time. I can't
No,
watch it
that's
a second
heavy.
time. And there's a few in the
I've never
honorable
seen that.
mentions here. Oh, it's a great movie, but you're not going to want to watch it more than once. I promise you. Like you have to be a psycho to want to watch that multiple times. But that's the core of something that is, that's usually will make a top 10 list because we're not Cisco and Ebro. We're not trying to create movies here that's like,
These aren't
it's
Oscar
movies
winners.
that
Yeah.
no, these are movies that we all are like, I've watched this 50 times. And Talladega Nights just never gets old. It never gets old. So
Mhm.
that's for me.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I had that number 5. So when I get to number 5,
Yeah.
I'll throw in an honorable mention.
There we go. There we go.
So my number 8 film. I'm from Southern California, from Orange
Hmm.
County.
Hmm.
So I think you already know where I'm going with this one.
I do. I do.
I'm an Angels fan, for better or worse, and for every year but one, it's been worse.
Uh-huh. Against my Giants, but okay.
Hey, man, look, we had some Angels in the outfield. I'm
Yeah,
flapping
yeah.
my wings for those of you that can't see. Um, Again, talk about a movie. I mean, watched all the time. I think it came out in '94. I was like 5. Okay,
Yeah.
like I said, baseball was the first sport I liked. My first team, I was in T-ball. We were the Angels, California Angels at that time.
Mhm.
Became Anaheim Angels once Disney bought them. Um, I think it was '97. Look, that movie was literally the Angels in real life. Like they were always one of the worst teams. You would
Mhm.
go to their games, and there would be more fans of the other team than of the Angels. And it didn't matter who they played. I remember one time we went and we saw Detroit. And I remember because Cecil Fielder hit a home run,
Yeah.
and there were more Detroit Tigers fans, and the Tigers don't have any fans, man. And there were
No.
more Detroit Tiger fans. And I'm not talking like Yankees. Yankees everywhere they go, pretty much, except Boston. There's more
People, they're
Yankee
gonna have
fans
fans.
than the other team, right?
Yeah.
No, the Tigers, bro. Come on, man. And I
That's
remember,
deflating.
I think it was 1995. My dad would always bring this up. The Angels had like a 14-game lead with like probably more than 3 weeks, like 5 weeks left in the season. Blow it. 1-game playoff against the Mariners, and the Mariners have Randy Johnson on the mound, and
Yeah, I remember that.
The Mariners win.
Yeah.
And the Angels hadn't won, hadn't been to the playoffs since before the wild card, when there was just the two division winners would make it. And it had been like, I think, 86. So it'd been almost 10 years since they'd made the playoffs. And they blew that against the Sox. The Angels, they would have good teams. They'd get there and they'd choke. And then 2002 was just a magical season. But Angels in the Outfield with the movie was just like, that's the Angels. They suck.
Yeah.
They need a miracle to get over the hump. I don't know if you remember, Matthew McConaughey's in that movie. I think he's a center fielder. Matthew
Yeah.
McConaughey, right before
Young Matthew
he's Matthew
McConaughey.
McConaughey.
Yeah.
Tony Danza,
Mm-hmm.
Danny
Who's the
Glover,
boss?
right. Tony Danza was one of the players. Danny Glover
Yeah.
was the manager.
The manager, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future was the head angel. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the kid, right? I mean, you have all these people who ended up being big name actors, and the only ones to that point that were big name was Danny Glover and Christopher Lloyd, and I guess Tony Danza, but for TV.
Yeah.
But it was a fun movie. The kids were orphans, right? I mean, and Tony Danza ends up adopting. It was him and one other kid. But it was just a good movie, fun movie to watch all the time. And again, being from Southern California, it resonated a little bit more with me, I think, than it might with you. Not to mention, I mean, you were a little bit older by the time the movie came out, so it's a little different too.
Yeah.
But man, that's another movie, man, I watch all the time. I had on VHS, the Disney VHS with the puffy case, thick,
Yeah. The shell case. That's what they used to call it. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, so I had Angels in the Outfield.
So, okay. It's because you went youth and nostalgic there, right? So it's my turn to go youth and nostalgic. And yes, this is a sports movie. All right. High school basketball player, point guard, who's going through some changes. Maybe he thinks it's puberties, but it's not puberties. He finds out he's a wolf. Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf.
No way you put that as a sports movie.
Yes,
bro.
yes. I will fight you over this. This is a sports movie. Listen. I'm going to tell you this right now. So, you want to get pumped up when the basketball game, the championship game is coming on? When that song kicks in, win in the end. Come on, man. Like, you can't not be hyped with that.
Oh my God.
I just want to know how many recruits were coming down to the high school trying to offer him scholarships. Come on. Who doesn't want the Wolf as a point guard? Now, I'm using a little bit of just deal with me on this. I'm using some liberty here. But basketball is an essential part of the movie, aside from the fact that obviously the most.
So is High School Musical sports movie too?
No. Listen, give me this one. All right? Give me this one. Teen Wolf. For an 80s baby like me, Teen Wolf. Michael J. Fox is. There'll never be another Michael J. Fox. He's like 5'4", and he became a movie star.
The energy man.
That's just never going to happen again. It's never going to happen now. And then you had what was his friend's name? I can't remember the big guy's name. I can't believe this. I've seen that movie about 50 to 60 times. I can't remember what the big guy's name is. I just remember at the end where he didn't want to shoot it, and the guy on the opposite team who was supposed to be a senior in high school, but he looked like he was 32. Told him, "Shoot it, fat boy," and he made the shot. But Teen Wolf, amazing movie. Michael J. Fox is for any '80s baby. He's essential. He's essential to our childhood. Uh, yeah. We're just gonna leave it at that because I'm gonna stay right there. We're gonna move on because I appreciate you as my podcasting partner for allowing me to keep that on this list and not make a big fuss about it. Teen Wolf.
All right, man. I'll give it to you, but
I promise you, that's the only one I use the liberties on. Okay, my
that's
liberties is used up.
extreme liberties on that one. My number 7 is an iconic movie. It is my only, my only basketball film that made it. As the GOAT, as the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Has one of the best soundtracks. How does Space Jam not make a top 10 list if you're talking about rewatchability, right? It's funny because I have this poster, right, with scratch off films for family films. So going through it with my son, we're like halfway through it. It's 50 out of the 100. And it has series on there too. Like we had the Avengers series, stuff like that. Space Jam was on there. And he's like, oh, the Space Jam. He'd seen the new one, with LeBron. And you know how kids are, like the older stuff, like the CGI and the graphics is so bad compared to now. It's kind of hard. It's like the Jurassic Park. Like he's not old enough to really sit and watch the movie and be like, the story's better, right? It's the dinosaurs look way cooler in this new one versus the original Jurassic Park. He watched it and he actually enjoyed it and he watches it.
Yeah.
He keeps watching it. Yeah. But I mean, come on. Yeah. I believe I can fly. That's the only R. Kelly you're gonna get.
Are we allowed? Are we allowed to still like that?
Hey man, you could like the song.
I'm joking. I separate the art
You
and
know?
the person. But yeah.
I won't, I mean, he still gets paid every time that movie plays.
Yeah.
But Jordan, when he goes for the dunk, stretches his arms, or his arm, to dunk the ball. I mean, you had Sean Bradley's, and they even made the Monstars like mimic the personalities of the stars. Like Sean Bradley's Monstar was like some goofball, and that's how you picture Sean Bradley to be, right? Charles Barkley's was this big fat dude, Muggsy Bogues was a little guy. Larry Johnson was like a mean, like bully. So anyway, I mean, how do you not put Space Jam? Bill Murray coming in there, man. At the end, hurts his back and goes out there, makes one play. I'm done. I'm retired.
Yeah.
Man, you could play. Nah, I'm done.
and the cartoon GOAT, Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The Looney Tunes. That's what Looney. I mean, I don't even know what happened to Looney Tunes now. I don't see anything about it anymore.
No, not really.
But I mean, growing up, I watched Looney Tunes on Saturday mornings.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, man. I mean, come on. Come on, Space Jam. Welcome to the Space Jam. Man, my son was asking me every day in the morning to put that song on in the car after we watch that movie.
Look, that was a good one, and I'm embarrassed to admit I went through all these movies, and I was trying to kind of chronologically go through my life with the movies, and I can't believe Space Jam slipped through the crack on me. So I'm glad you brought it up. It slipped through the crack on me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, when you think of sports movies, because it had a real athlete in it, the best athlete, the best basketball player.
Basketball player of all time. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, so Space Jams is. Would you say that's kind of the sports movie that really resonates with your childhood, or?
No, there's more.
Okay.
There's more of it. Basketball wise, yes. Basketball wise, yes.
Now I'll say for me, baseball wise, is
I know what you're picking.
Come on, listen. Sound lie.
That's my number one, by the way.
Yes, I mean,
That
Sandlot
that's
was I was so irritated because
you play ball like a girl.
yeah, Babe Ruth. But I was so
Do you want?
irritated
How
because
can I have s'more something if I haven't had any yet?
I'm doing the research for these, right? And I'm looking at I'm looking at Sandlot stuff, and I tell you, people ruin stuff. Well, they don't ruin it, but they just whatever. I'm looking at the reviews of Sandlot now, and it's like, oh, a popular baseball movie, but not very diverse, not as diverse as you would want a movie to be. And I'm like, the movie was in the 50s.
And it was in like Indiana or
Listen,
or
listen,
so,
we glad.
no, it was in
I'm glad.
California. It was in the valley or something though in
Yeah, in the
California.
50s.
Like
I'm
there,
glad we got one. I'm glad we got one. Like it's not supposed to be this big
and he's the
diverse
one that
group of
made it.
kids.
He's one of the two
It's
kids that made it. The other one was Hispanic.
yeah, well, okay. So I had the picture. The
Yeah, but
picture.
he made it to college, right? And then
He
ended up
did
being a
make it to
coach.
college. He did.
And then
And then
Benny
you
the
got
Jet
James Earl Jones.
Rodriguez.
James
And
Earl
Benny the
Jones
Jet,
was essential
yeah.
too. You know,
And then Benny
but
the Jet Rodriguez is Hispanic.
I tell you, when I read that, where it's like the movie wasn't as diverse as you would want it to be, it's like, oh my, what are we doing here? But anyways, that's off topic. So
Yo,
the
man, hey,
Sandlot,
real quick on
yeah,
Sandlot, man. I gotta
yeah,
show you a picture of my dad when he was like 9 or 10. His
uh-huh.
baseball picture. Swear to God, dude. Swear. He looks like Squints. I'll send it to you. I swear, dude. I swear. I
So does
swear.
that
Same
mean
glasses, everything.
does that
Does he
mean your
play
mom looks
baseball?
like Wendy Peppercorn?
No, no, I don't, we were
Uh,
going through my dad's pictures, but
yeah,
yeah, man, I'm telling you, he had the dark glasses. He was a
the
second
Coke bottles.
baseman. He played second base. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, go
But
on, go on.
but I do like, and I always liked at the end when it's like Squints and Wendy Peppercorn got married and they
Yeah,
had
like
10 kids together. Get off her, Squints! Like, but that movie is like it's the perfect coming of age movie, summertime, and it's like it's funny because I was explaining to to my wife because I told you my son's birthday was recently his birthday, and he went to have his friends over, and she's kind of eavesdropping on all the boys how they talk to each other. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "They're so mean to each other." I said, "That's how boys are supposed to be. Like boys are supposed to be mean to each other. If you're not mean to your friends, who are you gonna be mean to? That's how guys are." And you
mhm,
see that this is coming to age movie, and you see how they all interact with each other, how they're kind of bickering amongst each other, but they've all got each other's back. And you see them in the tree house, and you see them getting together where the kid realizes that uh, the baseball that he took that was his stepfather's ball. They all realize it's Babe Ruth's ball, so they spend like the next, at least it seemed like the next week, collectively just trying to get this ball back together.
why
And
didn't you
it's
come over
just
and ask?
yeah, yeah. Why did you just come over and ask? And then they find out that he used to play baseball in the Negro leagues. He's got all this memorabilia, and the dog is this big dog, and then it's really not as big as you think. And it's just like when you're a kid, how everything seems like it's scarier or a bigger obstacle than it actually is until you realize that it's not. You know,
Mm,
and it's a great movie, and it resonates because you talk about space jams. I'm sure if we sat down with our kids right now, well, not right now, everybody's tired, but we sat down with our kids and watched The Sandlot, it resonates still. Because
mhm.
even us, when we watched that movie came out what 93.
I was 4.
So you were 4, okay? So 93, I was what? I think I was 13, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. And it's a movie based in the 50s, resonated with
Mhm.
us at that time. It's just continued to just be a movie that resonates with generation after generation after generation. So that is
The
my
tobacco scene, it just
oh man.
every time, tequila. Oh, they're just chucking up, man. Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many good parts of that movie. That was my number one, man. That was my number one in Sandlot. When I think of sports movies, that's the first one I think of. So again, I grew up. I played baseball. That was the only sport I played. I started playing basketball in fourth grade, fourth, fifth
Mhm.
grade. Um, I didn't play football until high school.
Oh
I
wow.
played
Okay.
baseball from t-ball,
Mhm.
through high school, or well, through 1 year of high school. So, you know, eh, that was, and even people that didn't like baseball, like it's still an enjoyable movie. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fun. Uh, it's funny. It's humorous. Like you said, it's a good overall story. Um, a good ending to it. But it was so much. I mean, I've seen that movie. I probably have seen that movie over 100 times. I owned it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and digital.
Hmm. The whole gamut, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone, everyone. I've seen it so many times. Um, so yeah, man, you've already knocked a couple off my list. But I'll go to the next one on my list, which is number 6. This is another baseball one.
Hmm.
This is a more serious film, but it's a movie that I've watched a lot. I really enjoyed it. It's almost like a fantasy too. It's about a character named Roy Hobbs. You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
It takes place in the 30s. He's a middle-aged in the movie. He's in his middle. He's like late 30s, early 40s. He uses a bat that was struck by lightning,
Hmm.
and he is just the best hitter anyone's ever seen. Come to find out, when he was younger, he was an elite pitcher, and he got shot by a young woman. Right, starring Robert Redford,
Hmm.
The Natural.
Hmm.
I love that movie, man. I love that movie. I think the first time I saw it was the TV edited version, of course, because it's not really a
Yeah.
kid friendly movie. There's
Yeah.
parts in there not for kids.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember, I didn't grow up with cable. My parents did not get cable until I was in college. Once you had to get those HD boxes to make your TV digital, that's
Hmm.
when they got cable. Okay. So we used to watch movies on, Saturday afternoon or something. If there's no sports on, we had, if there wasn't a sporting event on, we'd watch a movie on CW, or it was WB5 or UPN 13, if you remember,
Hmm.
or it may have been
Hmm.
different channels for you,
No, it was no. It was 13 in
but
the day.
UPN
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and WB and stuff, right? And they'd edit them, you know. Uh, and my dad used to record movies when they'd come on, and we'd fast forward through the commercials and whatnot. But we used to watch, man. We used to watch that movie. We used to watch that movie quite a bit, man. Because I mean,
Hmm.
again, we love baseball. The acting was phenomenal. It's really good acting. That movie it came out in '84, I think, so it came out well before I
Yeah.
was born.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a good movie. Um, and I just remember, man, he hits that home run, and he hits it, and he hits the light, and all
All
the
the
lights
lights
go
are
out. Remember,
just
breaks his bat,
yeah.
breaks
Yeah.
the bat, and then he starts bleeding where he got shot in the ribs. Um, but anyway, yeah, the natural,
That's yeah. That look. That's a good one. I mean, Robert Redford is one of the
fantastic.
best actors. Although it's funny, like I just always think about him is what is the indecent proposal. uh, yeah, I'm like you dirty man, like, but no,
Man,
but
I think of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, man. My favorite
that's a good
Western.
one. No, no,
It's my
that's a
favorite
good one. That's
Western.
a good one. Now, so my
But
next is
decent proposal.
the decent. uh, it's listen, it was hard for an 80s baby if you wanted to, watch movies that had scenes that a young man my age shouldn't have been watching, right? So you had to get what you could get back in the day. Um, I'm gonna say this line: If he dies, he dies. Rocky Four. All right. So Rocky Four had it all. By this point, Rocky and Apollo are best buddies. they're slow motion jogging on the beach, giving slow motion high fives, you know. And then Apollo does an exhibition fight against this machine, this, from Russia, and this is during the Cold War time. This is where like every movie we made in America show Russians as the worst person ever. It's
Right.
just soulless people, right? And Apollo is getting his brains beat in, and I can still hear his trainer saying, "Throw in the towel," and he gets killed, and then Rocky
Mhm.
has to avenge him. And you can hear James Brown singing "Living in America," right? And Rocky comes out with the American flag shorts representing, and he beats the Russian so bad, who's hopped up on steroids and whatever else, other HGH or whatever they were giving him, and he beats him so bad that the Russians all stand up and applaud for him. How could that not be on the top 10?
Yeah.
Rocky Four. I don't think I need to say anymore. I think
Yeah.
I can cut it short at that point.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you could have picked any Rocky, but especially, you know, um, I didn't have one in my top 10 because I figured you would. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had an
Yeah,
honorable mention, but I, the fact Sylvester Stallone wrote those movies still
I
blows my
know.
mind
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're good movies. They're good stories.
Uh-huh.
And they are rewatchable. They do have even the Creed movies. The
Yeah.
last one I didn't care for much, but the first two were really good.
I'm gonna blow your
Um,
mind really quick and tell you a movie that he was originally supposed to be in. Um, and then he backed out, and then they ended up getting someone else to play that role. He was originally supposed to be in Beverly Hills Cop, and
that's weird.
no, it was going to
Yeah,
be a total
different
different
movie.
movie,
Yeah,
total different movie. And he backed out at the last minute because he was like making weird requests where he had to have freshly squeezed orange juice every morning, and they have to do this scene, and he has to have this car, and then after the movie's done, he has to be able to own that car, and this and that. They got Eddie Murphy in there, and a star was born at that point.
yeah,
Eddie Murphy, I think, was like 21, and you know, I think I've had these conversations with you. Eddie Murphy is a goat to me, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, Rocky Four. I know I went off topic, but yeah, I
yeah.
just had to kind of bring that up.
That's that. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Well, I had Talladega Nights at number 5, so I guess I'll go
Uh
with an
huh.
honorable mention here.
Okay, go
Um,
for it.
and my first honorable mention,
Uh
and it was so hard not to include this one, uh, was Mighty Ducks.
huh.
um, it came out in '92, the year before Sandlot.
Yeah.
And then of course the Anaheim Ducks. They were the Anaheim Mighty
Uh-huh.
Ducks, right? Disney again. Um, but I mean, the Flying V. I mean, the story again. The coach when he was younger. He messed up, ends up playing his old coach, or his team's playing going against his old coach. He didn't want to
Yeah.
be their coach at first, right? That same old story. I feel like they've done that with every sport at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, they don't want to be the coach, but they kind of have to, and they're required to do it. Okay, I'll do it. Um, you know, and but it's just good. The Bash Brothers. I mean, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's rewatchable. Um, even with those ugly jerseys they had, those were some seriously ugly jerseys. I'm glad when the Ducks changed their jerseys pretty quick once they became uh, an actual NHL team. And do you remember they even did that spinoff with the cartoons? Do you remember that where they're actual
I do.
ducks? That's
Uh-huh. I
terrible.
do.
That was terrible. But yeah, man, I had Mighty Ducks as an honorable mention, but like I said, since you took my number 5 slot, I'll throw them in
Yeah.
there.
All right. So next for me is a more serious sports movie. And, you know, my cousin is watching this video. I, if I didn't put this in here, I think he would fight me. He loves this movie. I love the movie too, but I think I don't know if there's a bigger fan of this movie than him. Blue Chips. Blue Chips was it was so good because you had Shaquille O'Neal, you had Penny
Mhm,
Hardaway, and this is before like we didn't really know who Penny Hardaway was at this point.
mhm,
Um, Nick Nolte is the coach. He's like a Bobby Knight type of coach figure who does everything right by the book, all these kind of things. And then he has one of his boosters that comes in and says, "Hey, we're slumping. I can change things. You kind of got to let me do what I do, and I'll get the guys in here so we can get back on track." And it really addressed a lot of things that weren't talked about before then, like paying guys under the table, people's parents asking for money. I remember the one guy, he got a tractor, his parents got a tractor for their farm, and talking
mhm,
about all these different things that were a part of like the NCAA, that a lot of movies didn't really talk about. And that movie was just it was a great movie. It's a great movie. You can watch it over and over. It really good basketball in the movie because it's not
mhm,
we're not talking about like Teen Wolf. The basketball is terrible. Like there was a story where they literally had hours of basketball footage to try to get the 10 minutes that they needed because everybody was terrible. Whereas Blue Chips, these are actual either NBA players, NBA prospects, or high level D1 current or former players. So the
mhm,
level of the actual basketball played in the game in the movie was elite. They I don't know how they were able to do it, but they were able to get some of the top coaches. Bobby Knight is in there. I think Rick Pitino's in there. I want to say John Chaney's in there, and which is kind of a surprise because they're talking about a lot of like NCAA infractions, things like that. Usually back then, the NCAA wanted to stay away from those type of things. I'm really surprised that they were able to get these top end coaches to actually be in the movie and kind of play their self. But great movie, and the greatest story to come from that movie is, Shaquille O'Neal is in the movie. He spent a lot of time around Penny Hardaway. They're playing real kind of high level basketball, either during the movie or during practicing for the movie. And he's like, this guy's good. This guy needs to be my point guard. So he goes to the Orlando Magic. He tells this story in a couple of interviews. He goes to Orlando Magic and said, "Hey, we've got the first pick in the draft. I want you guys to get Penny Hardaway." He says this is like the first time he's kind of going to flex his muscle as the superstar on the NBA team, right? So he goes to the organization. He's like, "I want Penny Hardaway. Like, I need him to be my point guard." And he's watching the draft, and they draft Chris Webber, right, with the first pick. And he says he's just tearing stuff up in his house. And he's like, I want out. I asked him for this, and they don't fulfill my desire to have this player on my team, and this and that. He's tearing his house up, not knowing that they're drafting Chris Webber with the intention of making a trade
mhm.
with the Golden State Warriors to get Penny Hardaway. And obviously, the rest was history in terms of the small time that they were able to play together. But Blue Chips was an amazing, amazing movie. So yeah,
So I have a serious question for you.
please.
Would you Shaq,
Hmm.
would you take Blue Chips as a Shaq movie over Kazam?
You know what? I should have knew when you said a serious question that it wasn't going to be a serious question. I'm thinking you're going to ask something like about NCAA infractions, which is funny because it's funny that movie doesn't exist now because the kids
Mhm.
the kids are pulling up to their senior ball in high school now with a Lamborghini.
NI
But yeah, yeah,
NIL
uh,
deals now.
exactly. NIL deals, right? But this is so I go. Is this Shaq's best movie ever? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
because
We'll go. Yeah,
the only other ones that I can think of off the top of my head are what was it, Steel
still Kazam.
and Kazam.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's
yeah.
been in a couple other things, but not that I can remember. Not that he was a star of, and those were neither
Yeah,
one of
so we'll
those were
take we'll
good.
take him as a basketball player over a rapping genie. Is that what you said?
Oh, I think he would agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't even have that. I didn't have that on my list. It wasn't. I didn't watch that until I was older, so it didn't really resonate with me,
Yeah, yeah,
as much. But I'm a huge Shaq fan, man. I mean,
yeah.
growing up in Southern California, Shaq was I had a Shaq jersey. His first sports jersey actually I got was a Shaq jersey.
Okay, okay, yeah,
Um, Lakers, obviously, the gold
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
So my number 4,
Mhm.
and you got to have this one on yours. Strong side,
I
left
think
side, strong side. Remember the Titans.
you know,
Remember the Titans. You got to at least have it as an honorable mention, man.
it's honorable mention. It's honorable. It's
Because
honorable.
because
Honorable mention.
because look, I mean, I was about 10, I think 10
Yeah,
or 11 when that movie came out.
yeah,
First of all, it's got Denzel's one of the best actors, of
yeah.
my
I mean, yeah,
lifetime.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
he's had some duds, but most of his movies are pretty good. And
Yeah,
Remember the
yeah.
Titans was phenomenal. Obviously, it's a good story. There's a lot of historical context to it as well.
Hmm.
Whether the actual story of the team was historically accurate or not, I don't know, but it was good representation of that time period.
Yeah.
And really, the whole story was, look, it doesn't matter. We're one team, right? If you're on a
Hmm.
team, it doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter if you like, what you don't like. At the end of the day, we come together with a common goal.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, even the coach, right? I can't remember his name. Not Denzel's character, the white coach that they
Who
kind of
had
said,
the
nope,
yeah, his
yeah,
daughter.
who had the
Daughter.
daughter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And they're like, "Oh man, you just got to lose this, and it's your team again." He's like, "Nah, I'm not
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
I can't do that." It's a great movie, man. I mean, it's one I've seen 100 times. You laugh, you cry. I mean, man, when he's driving off and waving, and that car hits him. Oh, God, man. And then he comes in the hospital. And he's like, "Only family. This is my brother. You can't tell this is my brother.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah,
look
yeah,
alike."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean I mean, it was just such a good movie, man. I had to include it. That was my only football movie.
Are you
That
serious?
that's my only football movie that made my top
Man,
10, man.
I'm
That's my
about
only
to run
football
off
movie.
some, so
Yeah,
don't
and I
worry
know
about
which ones
that.
you're gonna run off too, and that's part of why I left them. I have
Yeah.
I have 2 other ones on my top 15, and I think you're
Okay.
gonna list them
Okay.
both.
We'll see. We'll see. Now, so don't get me wrong. Remember the Titans is a great movie.
Mhm.
And then obviously, it's funny because the daughter ends up becoming the cheerleader from Heroes, uh,
Mhm.
a show that had probably the greatest season one, and it just fell off
And
to the
she was
wayside.
in Bring It On, like, the 3rd or 4th one too.
Yeah, she was, she was, but it was an excellent movie, and Denzel is my two acting goats are Denzel Washington number one and Leonardo DiCaprio number two. So anything Denzel's in, I'm going to watch it. But I think around that time, I think that came out in about what 97, 98.
2000, actually.
Oh, 2000. Okay, so by that time I'm already in college. So it doesn't, it kind
Mhm.
of hits me at a time where it's not going to resonate like if I seen it at 13, 11, it would have probably it would be in my top 10, I'm sure. Um, but one that did come out at the right time, actually the next two. Like I said, we're going to go on a football run here.
They came
But
out the same year, didn't they?
the program,
Yeah, I
the
knew it.
program.
I knew it, and I knew it because it
So
reminds me of Florida State, and you're a Florida State boy.
the program is first of all, listen, Alvin Mack is the fictional football player GOAT. Like
Derek Brooks. He's based off Derek
nobody
Brooks.
is that what it was? It really?
Mhm. Yeah, he was based off
So
Derek Brooks.
Alvin Mack, I can watch that now, and when he gets hurt, I'm gonna feel some type of way. I'm really gonna feel some type of Alvin Mack. You wanted him to go to the league and buy that house for his family. You
Mhm.
wanted him to be an all pro and then get a gold jacket. That movie was it not only was Alvin Mack as a character, like I said, the football fictional character GOAT, but it addressed I mean, it talked about a lot of stuff in that movie. Like it's a college football team, obviously. So
Mhm.
you're dealing with things like, NCAA infractions. The quarterback was dealing with alcoholism. He's dealing with issues with his dad. The second most memorable character on there, is it Lannister?
Latimer. Latimer.
Latimer,
The
who
D
goes
end,
from being yeah, he goes from being a fourth stringer to a starter
All
because,
American,
with
wasn't he? All American.
well, I mean, I know he the first 2 3 years he was like a backup, and then
Yeah.
he got a hold of a little needle and some and some helpful juices in that needle, added on about 25 pounds of muscle,
And
and then the
someone
next thing
peeing
you know,
for him.
somebody's peeing for him. He's headbutting windows in the car and knocking them out, and even things like it dealt with like serious topics like campus, sexual assault, dealt with, you had the competition between, I think it was
Darnell.
Darnell Washington and
Mhm.
the other, I can't remember the other guy's name. Not only did he take his position, he took his girl. Holly Berry was in her prime in that movie. I was talking, come on, man. Again, we're
And
80s
even
and
the
90s
coach looked
babies.
like Bobby Bowden, dude.
He did. He did. He did.
Tell me this
But
wasn't
that,
loosely based on Florida State. My goodness.
yeah. But it was funny to me because like
Same colors too.
they played against Michigan,
They were a
but then they
Michigan
played
team or
against.
something,
It seemed to me like they were supposed to
weren't
be the
they?
Big Ten.
Yeah, they were a Midwest team. They were
Yeah, they were mid.
Eastern
I don't think they.
something
I don't know if they ever said the
University.
state, but they were definitely supposed to be a Big Ten team. I know that like you can tell by the weather and by the other teams they played. But that movie had
Yeah,
everything, and
Eastern State University.
Eastern State, that's what it was. And then it has one of the most controversial scenes in movie history. You know about this, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, when you first see the preview, when the movie first comes out, sorry, there's the guys laying down in the freeway, and cars are like driving over them. And then the story goes that some kids did the same thing, and the kid ended up dying. And they had to go back and edit the movie to take that scene out so other kids weren't influenced to do the same thing. But great movie. Like I said, covered
Hmm.
everything. And see, I never, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it did have, burgundy and gold, just like Florida State. Florida State was the premier program at that time. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of
them in
sense. Yeah.
Miami, but Miami
Yeah,
had
them
just
in
gotten in
Miami.
trouble.
Yeah. I think they had just got on probation at that point. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah,
what you got
yeah,
next? What baseball movie
yeah.
do you have next?
So they were the program was on my honorable mention list, and I knew you
Okay.
were going to pick
Okay.
it. It came out in 1993. So again,
Yeah.
when I first saw that movie, it was the TV edited version
Yeah.
because I was a kid. Um, my dad had to do a lot of explaining in a way to make it to where was it bad? And as you can imagine, the edited version of that movie left a lot out.
Left a lot
Um,
out. Yeah.
yeah, but it was a good kind of a summary of all of the different issues that could be had at a big program.
Yeah.
So it was cool that way. You're right. My next one's a baseball movie. Came out the year I was born in 1989, best year ever. Stars Kevin Costner's been in a few baseball movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you build it, he will come.
It will come. Yeah.
Field of Dreams, man. I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the cornfield. He makes a baseball field in the cornfield. all these old players are playing. He thinks it's because it's going to make Shoeless Joe Jackson come back,
Mhm.
and that's who he thinks he's going to see. It ends up actually being his dad, at the very end.
Yeah,
Um, James Earl Jones in that one too. James Earl Jones must
yeah,
be a baseball fan too. I know Kevin Costner is. Kevin
yeah,
Costner's a
yeah.
huge baseball guy. James Earl Jones must be too because he's in that one as well. Great acting. I mean, Kevin Costner at that time, man, every movie Kevin Costner was putting out was hitting until Waterworld. That just ruined everything.
Yeah, that.
But I mean, every aspect of that movie, man, the acting was good. There are some humorous parts in it, but it's more of a serious movie. A lot of self reflection for Kevin Costner's character. Um, his daughter ends up falling. Right, one of the players is like, "Oh, I'm a doctor." He comes across, and it's the old doctor who passed away. Moonlight Graham, I think is what his name was, and he was following all these clues, trying to find out, what's going on with all this. And man, I mean, it's a good movie. It's actually been a while since I've seen it. Probably need to watch it again.
Yeah.
I'll talk to my wife. She's a Kevin Costner fan. I don't think she's seen it, so she'll probably be like, "All right, we can watch it."
What was the one? What was the one where he was a pitcher?
For the love of the game, where
There
he's
we
throwing
go.
where he's throwing the perfect game, and he's like
I think.
40, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
flashing
yeah.
back every in between every inning. He's flashing back over his
Eh,
life, and the love of his life gets away from him, and all that. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Tim
For the love
Robbins
of
was
the
the
game.
catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
Bull Durham. That's Bull
Bull
Durham.
Durham. There we go. There we
That's
go.
from the 80s.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's with Susan Sarandon, I think, is in that
Susan
too.
Sarandon. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For Love of the Game was in the 90s, late 90s, where he's an older pitcher. Bull
That's right.
Durham, and
That's
they're in
right.
the minor leagues. Bull Durham, they're a minor league team.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, good one too, man. I mean,
yeah,
can't pick them all though.
yeah, yeah. Listen, you're lucky. I knew you would only give me leeway for one movie that you were going to say. Like it's like, okay, hey, give me some liberties here, because I tell you what, if I knew I could get away with more, I would have said Brewster's Millions, which is one of my favorite movies in the '80s with Richard Pryor, who plays a pitcher. Who ends up inheriting money, and he has to spend $30 million in, I think it's like 2 months to get the full inheritance. But you probably never even heard of it. I think that one was definitely well before your time. But so
Yes.
now we're going to go. So if you notice, I kind of, for mine, even when it was the same sports, it was like different levels. So I tried to go like college for one, things of that nature. So I knew there was going to be a lot of football in here, and the last two I'm going to leave are very nostalgic for me. So that's why they're the last two, but it's all different levels. And again, I'm going on a football run. I've gone to college. Now it's time to go to the pros. Right? My name is Willie Beeman. Right? Any given Sunday. Any given Sunday. Uh, Oliver Stone is a maniac. For the director, I don't know
Hmm.
if you've ever like seen any documentaries or heard him speak in interviews. Uh, Oliver Stone is yeah, he's a maniac. He's an absolute maniac, and he was the perfect person to make a football movie. Although I'll say this, I was coming up with this idea when we were doing this. You know who I would love to see make a football movie? Quentin
Oh,
Tarantino.
it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. I could see him doing something where
I
if
don't
he
think
made
he
a
would have an
football,
interest in it though.
well, what if I could see him doing that, and then maybe the main character, is like Aaron Hernandez, where he's got this whole other thing going on off the field. Like I could see him doing something like that. But anyways, I'm going off topic. Any given
You could make
Sunday,
NFL Blitz the movie.
yeah, NFL Blitz the movie. There we go, by Quentin Tarantino, right?
Blood everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And so any given Sunday was the football was really good. Jamie Foxx was a high end high school quarterback, very athletic guy. So having him play the quarterback role where he actually looked like an athlete and moved like an athlete was good. They had T.O. Um, and Michael Irvin is actual players on the LA, no, was it the LA Sharks or was it the Miami Sharks? I think that
Miami.
was the main team, the Miami Sharks.
Al
You have the
Pacino.
dynamic between, yeah, you have Al Pacino. I mean, who doesn't love Al Pacino, right? You have Bill Bellamy did a really good job in that movie. Is the flashy wide receiver. LL Cool J is the star running back, kind of like a Ricky Waters type. Um, you got LT, the real LT, Lawrence Taylor, who did a really good job. Even when he's doing, like, when he tells the speech, talking about everything when he's in the spa with Willie Beeman, kind of putting him up on game of like what the expectations are for a superstar in the pro leagues and things like that. The movie's just it's just an excellent movie. Um, Cameron Diaz did a really good job, as this. She's basically Jeannie Buss
Hmm.
in that movie. If you notice, she's kind of a Jeannie Buss. Uh, but the football is really good. The way they kind of, Oliver Stone being who he is, where he's known for movies like Natural Born Killers, and he's known for these impact action movies. They did a transition in that to a sports movie. Some of the camera angles they show, things like that. It's just a high impact movie, with a lot going on. There's just a lot going on with everybody, and it's definitely rewatchable. And the fact that he was able to get all these high caliber actors involved in it as well, that is my professional football movie that's on my list.
Cool. Well, since you said that, I know what your high school football one is.
No, 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 no. Well, that's an honorable mention. That's honorable mention.
Oh, you
So,
said you had one of each level. So I was
well,
thinking you.
well, okay. So I had to take
You
that
don't
off.
tell me now, because I'm gonna
I'm just
I'm
going to
gonna
say
I'm
this.
gonna
It's
go.
it's a, it's another level. It's another level. But so that probably might have given you a
Oh,
clue.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
know what it
yeah,
is
yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
Well, my number two is another movie that is actually made before I was born. It's another baseball film. Uh, it it's called 8 Men Out.
Ah,
I don't know if you've seen it or not.
yeah.
Um, it's about
Say it ain't so, Joe.
Say it ain't so, Joe. It's about the 1919 White Sox Black Sox scandal. They call them Black Sox because Comiskey, the owner, was too cheap to wash their clothes. So that's why they called them Black Sox. Their name was the White Sox, but they were nicknamed the Black Sox because their
Yeah.
clothes were dirty. They didn't wash them, and he refused to pay. And they didn't have free agency back then in sports, right? So you basically, I mean, that's where owner came from. Really, you were if you
Yeah.
wanted to play baseball. Um, unless the owner was willing to trade you, you were stuck on that team.
Hmm.
Um, and they threw a game that back then the World Series was 9 games,
Hmm.
and there were 8 players that took money to throw the series.
Hmm.
And there were 2 guys that threw the series that actually played well, and one was Shoeless Joe Jackson. He hit like
Joe Jackson.
over 400 in the series or something like that.
Yeah.
So even though he took money, I mean, and just watching it, the guys that were throwing it, you could tell. You know, obviously, I don't know how bad it was in real life because there's very limited footage of it,
Yeah.
the real stuff. But the pitchers were obvious. You got lefty, he's up there, he's 30-game winner and just getting shredded. The infield was in on it. First baseman's dropping the ball. You know, they're looking at Bucky, the third baseman. John Cusack plays him. They're looking at him like, "What are you doing? Making diving play, making spectacular plays." In the field. And him and Shoeless Joe were the only ones that actually played. It's actually kept Shoeless Joe Jackson out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Was one of the best players. They got banned for life, all of them. And so it's a true story. them sitting on the train. I just remember them sitting on the train, and Joe's going like this. Like I go like this until I can't see, and then I switch. And it helps his batting. um, but it's a movie again. I watched over and over and over again as a kid, and and as an adult, and as you get older, you kind of more of it. You kind of understand. Um, but man, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I love that movie. I could watch it all the time. And the actors they have in there. I mean,
Great actors.
Charlie Sheen's in
Mhm.
it when he's young. DB Sweeney plays Shoeless Joe Jackson. David Straighthair plays Lefty, pitcher. Um, Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu, he's the
Mhm.
first baseman. Happy, I think. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, let alone sports movie. Uh, so, and that's my last baseball one. I'm done with baseball. Okay. So, but that was my number two because you took my number
Uh-huh.
one, Sandlot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
All right. So
yeah.
I'm going to step away from football for a moment.
Mm,
And growing up, it when it comes to sports, my first sports love was wrestling. I was a big wrestling fan. Wrestling, wrestling,
mhm,
wrestling. That's all we would do. And then we loved baseball. My dad is a big baseball guy. He played baseball. I think to this day he's probably still disappointed. I didn't focus on baseball. Um, then fell in love with basketball. Obviously, I going into fifth grade, going into junior high. Once I fell in love with football, that was it. I loved football and track, of course. But at this time when this movie came out, I was in love with basketball. Love with basketball. Every recess, all we did was play basketball. All we did was play basketball. And we're talking about, I think, what is this, about 89, 90? Let me see, 91, 91. Yeah, 91. And when I tell you, when this movie came out, every day at basketball, at least one person said a line from this movie. White man can't jump. White man can't jump was like everybody. It was like you haven't seen White man can't jump. You need to go see it. I remember we went to um, the drive-in the drive-in theater and watch that movie on the big screen. And I just couldn't wait to get to school the next day to start just saying lines from it. It's like it's like when Wesley Snipes and his boys like they're about to make the bet, and he's like, "We're going to Sizzlers. We're going to Sizzlers." It just all these different things. Uh, you know, Look, for a young 10-year-old boy, it was not bad to see Rosie Perez in that movie. Uh, Rosie Ro, Rosie Perez, and Woody Harrelson he's actually a really good athlete. Uh,
mhm,
I've done a lot of research on all these movies that I loved as a kid, and the funny thing about it is we all loved Sidney. We all loved Wesley Snipes. He was Sidney.
mhm.
He was like, back then he would have been like a Dominique Wilkins, I guess, but now, you would compare him to like a Russell Westbrook. But the funny thing about it is, like, the making that movie, Wesley Snipes is apparently a terrible basketball player.
Too
And when
muscle bound.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a black belt, right? I think he's like, taekwondo, kung fu, martial arts, one of
Yeah.
those. But when you know this, when they say like he's a terrible basketball player, like he had no left hand, he could barely do layups, all these other stuff. Then you go back and watch the movie, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see how they edited this movie. I can see how they edited to kind of cover for his, athletic downfalls. You know,
Inabilities.
his inabilities, right? But the movie it was like, it was street basketball. It was street basketball. It was, everything that as a kid you'd be excited about just two on two, one on one, uh, guys talking mess the whole time they're playing each other. It's just like we would be on the playground. It's like somebody shoots it in somebody's face, and the next thing you know, people are arguing, and you got to break up a fight, or a potential fight, all these different things. That movie was it was a great sports movie, and then you also have the added in factor where Woody Harrelson and Rosie Perez are running from these mobsters that they owe money from. So you had that whole storyline,
Mhm.
and you have the storyline where Wesley Snipes, Sidney, his character, he's trying to hustle up enough money to get his family out of a bad neighborhood and get them in a nice neighborhood with a nice house, so his family could be taken care of. And it's just it was just a movie for us that we could just, not only is it a rewatchable movie, but it just has all these rewatchable lines that we could just repeat over and over and over and over, as a young kid. So that's my number two.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, I mean, I've seen that movie, obviously.
Yeah.
The remake, I've seen the
I'm
remake
not
as
even trying
well.
to watch that. I don't, yeah, I'm good.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously not anywhere as good as the original. And Woody Harrelson's such a good actor, man. And he's very
Yeah,
versatile.
yeah, he is.
Um, and that was when Wesley Snipes was pretty.
Wesley Snipes.
It
Yeah.
was pretty popular. But it's a good movie. It's definitely entertaining. Uh, and not necessarily. It makes sense. I'm surprised you picked as many basketball movies, 3 basketball movies. Kind of shocked, knowing that you're more of a football guy, because you're throwing Teen Wolf as a basketball film. Um, and you had 3 basketball movies, and you didn't have Space Jam as one of them. Is
Yeah, yeah,
probably a
yeah.
bigger crime there than anything else. But since you took my number one earlier, you talked about it earlier, The Sandlot. I'm going to go with the next on my honorable mention list, and this came out in 1993 as well. What a year for sports movies! Um,
Yeah.
by the way, because one came out in 1993 as well that didn't get discussed, and I thought you might have, which was Rudy, but now I know you're not going that way. That came out in '93. So did Sandlot, and so did this
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
And I watched a lot as a kid. And another movie that we just watched recently on the scratch off poster with my son, who he actually enjoyed it as well. Um, Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up. It's bobsled time. Cool runnings.
I knew you were gonna have that. I knew it.
Look, man, that movie is so good, and it's
Yes.
like it- I- to this day, man, I watch it, I laugh, and I almost cry at the end. And I don't cry at
Hmm.
films. But man, it's so heartbreaking at the end. Uh, Psycho is so funny, man. I mean, he's just cracking up. Hey, Psych guy, you dead? Nah, man. Pulls out his egg, lucky egg.
Yeah.
The bar fight scene is fantastic. Uh, John Candy, rest in peace. John
Was that his?
Candy's
Was that his
hilarious.
last movie?
No, no, no. But
Okay.
but he passed away not long after that, though.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just such a good film. And you can watch over and over. Great story. Again, historical context to it based on the '88 Olympics.
Hmm.
Um, and each character, all 5 of the main characters, right? The four Jamaicans on the bobsled team, and then the coach, Blitzer, all have a very intriguing story, and they kind of go into all of those stories, for all 5 of those characters, and they all have a different thing that they're working towards, and the one thing that they
Hmm.
can do in common, right? One just wants to get to the Olympics. One just wants to get off the island. One
Hmm.
wants to pave his own path and not follow his dad, his dad's footsteps. One is just a good friend, and then
Yeah.
one is for redemption because he failed and is the wrong kind of goat, for his country. So, they all have a story they're trying to redeem,
Hmm.
and it's great, you know. But I still remember the VHS tape. It was a white VHS tape, which most, of course, were black. For those of you that don't know or too young or
Yeah.
don't remember, right?
Right.
And again, it was a Disney movie, so it had the foam case, um, with the Rasta colors. Cool Runnings and the
Uh-huh.
Rasta colors on it and everything. But man, I mean, such a good movie, man. Such a good movie.
Yeah. I was thinking about it when I need help with my helmet. Thanks, coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't see.
I promise you, I told my wife, like you know, she's not as young as you, but she's a little younger than me, and she loves that movie. And I told her, I said, I I'm willing to bet there's two movies he's going to have in his top 10. And it was I knew you were going to have Angels in the Outfield, and I knew you were going to have Cool Running. I just knew it
Okay.
because
Well, Cool
I
Runnings was an honorable mention, man, but you took
okay,
a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
of
yeah.
mine,
That's
so
true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, okay. So this movie, it we were making it very clear this is ours, right? Just like we did with the video games. We're not saying like, hey man, we're not saying the highest rated metric video game or metric movie or won this many awards, this and that. And as I talked about how White Men Can't Jump, and a lot of these movies just nostalgic for me. This movie came out when I was in eighth grade, and we played in the junior football league, which was a city league in the city I'm from. Uh, and you had like I think it was 8 teams, and we used to be the JFL Buccaneers, and then we became the JFL Cowboys, right? And it's me and my cousin and a lot of my friends even to this day. Like one of my good buddies who I just went to his wedding the last time I went back to California. We met playing junior football league together, and we played in high school together and things like that. I went to a different college than them, so we didn't play in college or anything like that or play sports together in college, but we did in high school and junior football league. And eighth grade was like a year where I really was just like I really came into my own as an athlete, and I go from being just like a starter on the football team to like one of the stars, on the football team. You have that kind of transition where you go from being like, okay, I think I'm pretty good at this to like, okay, I know I'm a good athlete. And that happened for me in eighth grade. And my cousin's the star tight end and the star outside linebacker. I'm the star wide receiver, play a little bit of running back, and I'm a star outside linebacker. And this movie came out that year, it's The Little Giants. And again,
But
it's not
what
going to
year were you
be
born?
81.
God, man, I thought you just turned 41. You old, man.
I'm 43. I'm 40, I'm 43. So this movie came out my eighth grade year, and it
Icebox.
just, man, listen. So I said Alvin Mack is the GOAT of fictional characters. I think Spike might be number two, man. I love to see where his dad is like, every night I massage his calves with goat milk. It's like he said, hey, he was the original. This kid is going to get us out the hood.
Mhm. Yeah.
He was the, he, and Spike had the gold tooth. He's the star running back. You have Icebox. You have Hot Hands, the
Yeah.
receiver who was real fast. He couldn't catch. Rick Moranis,
Sticky.
who is like for an '80s baby man. Rick Moranis is
Dude.
like he's
Goat.
go
And
like
then
I
and
remember
then and then he retires to take care of his
to
wife.
take care of his wife.
Yo, man.
Listen. I heard Rick Moranis was walking down the street because he's just like in New York. He's just a regular guy. You could see him on the train. You could see him just walking the streets. He was walking the streets, and some guy just being New York just randomly punched him. And I'm like, who punches Rick Moranis? that's like that's like, come on, man. Like Rick Moranis he was that whoever did that was definitely not an '80s or '90s baby, because we all loved Rick Moranis, man. And then it
Yeah.
has Ed O'Neill, who I was already like, that was my guy from Married with Children.
Mhm.
Um, that movie, it was just again, it's the sports theme of the ultimate underdogs who overcome at the end. and against all odds, right? And then, you know, the kid who can't catch in the championship game, he catches the long touchdown, and all the plays work, and it's just I love that movie. I absolutely love that movie. And I remember it was so hard to find on DVD because they didn't release a lot of copies. And I searched for years for that movie, right? And I ended up finding it at this like secondhand movie store that sold like secondhand CDs, secondhand movies. And I want to say I paid like $40 for it because it was like, or like $30 or something like that. But it was like, it was a hard to find DVD, but it was like, this has to be in my collection. This absolutely
Mm.
has. And I still own that DVD. You know what? I think I'm gonna pop that bad boy in this weekend, and me and my son's gonna sit down and watch that. I'm gonna inflame those fires for football fam. If that can't do it, nothing can. But that movie, it was the time it came out, and it was the
Mhm.
characters, and it was Rick Moranis, and it was everything. And again, it was we were the JFL Cowboys, and Cowboys, and then obviously the Giants, is the little Giants were the main. They were the teams on there, and then they had it where the Madden bus breaks down, and then Jerry Rice and Bruce Smith, and they're meeting all these guys. And I remember me and my
Yeah.
cousin was thinking like, man, I wish the Madden bus would break down in our hometown and we got to meet these
Right.
guys. And it's just that movie is just every time I watch it, I feel like I'm a 13-year-old again.
Yeah.
And that's when a movie does that, where a movie just capsulates you to where you go back to that time you were the first time you watched it. You know, that's kind
Mhm.
of what movies are about. That's what ultimate nostalgia is about, right? And that's what these lists are
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
And I knew you'd have Little Giants, man. And I almost had that on my list too. It was one of my honorable
Uh-huh.
mentions. I mean, look, out of my top 15, so there's only two left that weren't even said.
Uh-huh.
Based on everything that you had, and you said three of my top 10, or
Talk to me. Talk.
two of my top 10. The other two are,
Yeah.
are actually basketball films.
Okay.
One is Hoosiers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, with Gene Hackman as the coach.
Yes.
Uh, I think it's supposed to be 50s or 60s. I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I watched it.
It was
Really
the
good film.
50s.
And the other one, Samuel Jackson, baby.
Coach Carter?
Coach Carter.
Ah,
Coach
I
Coach Car-
know about the real Coach Carter because that was local to me. So that movie didn't really hit with me.
Gotcha. So Coach
Yeah.
Carter. Uh, I mean, I was like 15 or 16 when that came out.
Yeah.
But that was a good movie. It's funny when you see the characters out like Channing Tatum, young Channing
Uh-huh.
Tatum's in that
Yeah.
movie, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I can't remember the kid, the Hispanic kid, but he's been in stuff. I say kid, man, they're older than me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's his name, man, in the movie? I can't even remember, man, off the top of my head right now. It's been a while since I watched it, but that was the other one. I got that on DVD when it came out for Christmas, and I remember the DVD
Yeah.
itself was a basketball.
Yeah.
But that was I mean, it's Samuel Jackson. I don't know. He didn't even act in that movie. Samuel Jackson was just being Samuel
Via
Jackson.
Samuel Jackson. I knew
Yeah,
it. So the Coach Carter,
just
I
they
knew his
took out
son.
the F word to like pick other
Yeah.
things.
Replace that word. I knew the real Coach Carter because that movie, that school was not far from me. So I knew
Mm.
his son. His son used to date a friend of ours.
The one that's
Uh,
in the movie? Not
yeah,
obviously that's an actor, but the
but
character in the
yeah,
movie, that's the
his
real one.
Coach Carter's real son. And then knowing people from that area, and then kind of hearing like all these sports movies, they kind of they
They
embellish a little
twist
bit
it.
and things
Yeah,
like that. They
yeah,
twist it. You have Hollywood's got to do Hollywood things, but
yeah. Mhm.
so I think because of that, it didn't really appeal to me because it was like I kind of knew the real
Yeah,
story and the real people. Um,
yeah,
but I mean, Samuel Jackson is we're talking about
yeah,
ghosts, man. Samuel Jackson is he's goated. He's ghost status. Now, what
yeah.
was the second movie you had in your honorable
Well,
mentions?
so the last one I had, so I had Coach
Yeah.
Carter and Hoosiers. The last one I had, and man, I probably should have put it in my top 10. This is one of the ones where I told you, man, I was like, I'm going through this. I'm like, man, I'm going to regret not putting this here.
Yeah.
It's Hardball. Gee, baby.
You know what's funny? I've never seen the movie. Yes, I know. It is funny because like I can't really watch it now because I know what happens. I know it. I know what happens, but
Dude,
I never because you got to think
I
what
love
year
it
did
when
that
you
come
call
out?
me Big Pop, but I think it was
What
like 2000 or something, man.
man, I was in
Keanu
college
Reeves,
by
it
that.
was right around the Matrix. Man, it don't matter.
I
Yo,
know.
man.
I
They're
was
sitting there saying, I like it when you call me Big Papa. The kid's got his
yeah.
headphones in, man. He's
I was let's see.
bitching.
I was a
Oh,
freshman in
man.
college around that time. That might have been around track season, man. I was busy, man. I was trying to get that 100 and 200 meter time down, man. I
Oh.
it slipped through the cracks. It slipped through the
But
cracks.
but it's one of those ones too where, like, again, it's kinda heavy, man. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta prepare for it. But, yeah, that was it. What did you have an honorable mention we didn't talk about?
So because when you the last one you brought was a heavy movie, Hardball, everybody knows the story. Even like I said, I haven't watched the movie. I know about G Baby. This one for me, the first one I'll say is it is a hard one because it's a great movie, but it's so hard hitting. This is not a rewatchable. But Million Dollar Baby,
Yeah.
that movie, like Hilary Swank,
Dude,
Clint
Clint
Eastwood.
Eastwood brings
Oh my goodness.
every movie
When I,
he directs is just so good,
he's
man.
he's 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 excellent. And
Yeah.
Hilary Swank, she deserved every award she got in that movie. Man, by the I so
Morgan
there's
Freeman.
two there's two movie characters that I'd like irrationally hated like they're real people. Okay. Samuel L. Jackson on Django. I hated him. I hated him. I can't remember. I can't remember what Steven. I think that's his name when they're Steven. And then I
Yeah.
hated that former prostitute boxer who punched my girl Hillary Swank when the bell
My
had already
girl.
rung and she freaking broke her neck on the dang bench. And then her crappy family comes around and all they care about is her money. They don't care that her neck's broke. That movie is like it's such a good movie, but by the time you're done watching it, you're like pissed because you're just hating her family and you're just hating
Mhm.
her boxing opponent. And but it's such a good movie. But
You
now
you
this
don't hate you don't hate Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator? Oh
oh,
god,
that's number
man.
three. Oh, that's
Bro.
that's number three. Now
Dude,
at
and as
least, but
as I watched it as an adult and realized what he
yeah,
was doing with his sister,
but
because
at
when I
least you
first
get the
watched that, didn't know what's going
satisfaction.
on.
You get at least get the satisfaction of him getting killed.
Well, that's true.
So
Still
for a
hated him.
long
I
time,
hated Joaquin Phoenix. I hated
oh
him.
man, yeah. That's oh man. See, now you
It's
made
one
me
of my
think. I hated him.
that's one of my top 5 movies of all time, Gladiator, man. Love that
Oh,
movie.
Gladiator's a beast. Like I mean, you
Great
you throw
movie.
Gladiator on, and it's Russell Crowe, But now this is on my honorable mention. But I'll tell you this: if you were talking about movie soundtracks, oh, this is go above the rim. Above the rim, the movie soundtrack is the go, and then the movie above the rim. I mean, come on, you got Tupac. Dwayne Martin did a great job as a high end point guard prospect. You got Marlon Wayans on there. You got Bernie Mac, and I can't remember what his brother's name is on the movie. Well, not his brother, it's Tupac's brother. But I know the actor's name is Leon, and he does great in everything he's in. But Above the Rim, that came out
Mm.
when I was in seventh grade. You got the Regulators, you got Warren G. You got that whole soundtrack was just that soundtrack was like that and Snoop Doggy Style was like that's seventh grade right there for me. You know, Lord knows why we were able to listen to those songs in seventh grade. That's a whole other story. But Above the Rim was an honorable mention. Next up, if you want to win, put Booby in Friday Night Lights.
That
I
that's
which
where I
I
thought
actually
you
have.
were going when you said you
So
had levels. Yeah.
that was one of my last cuts. That was one of my last cuts,
Mhm.
right? And then another movie that you may not have seen this, and if you haven't seen this, go see it. I'll let you borrow the DVD. Green Street Hooligans.
Oh, bro, with Elijah
Man,
Wood and Charlie Hunnam?
oh, now that's a sports movie, right?
I
Come on, they were soccer is the essential part. They
I
were
don't think so. They're not soccer players though. They're fans.
no, yeah, but I mean this
Yeah, I wanna consider
okay. Maybe
that.
I took some liberties
That's a
there.
gang movie. If you want, we could do top 10 gang movies, put Gangs of
Oh,
New
we could do
York, put that in there, put Boys in the Hood. I mean, Blood
hey,
In,
hey,
Blood Out.
we could do that. We could do that. But okay, I will remove that. But even
Great
still,
movie
anybody
though.
who's
Great
watching
movie
it,
though.
please watch Green Street Hooligans. That
Great
movie is
movie.
great. Next up, He Got Game. The
Dude, you
movie that
loved
made.
basketball movies, didn't you? For someone that doesn't
Hey,
like
listen,
basketball, holy
I'm gonna.
smokes.
I'm, Ray Allen did a
You got
great
Love and
job.
Basketball too? Got Love and Basketball next?
Nah, that's
The
overrated
Air up
too.
there? You got the Air up
That's
there in there?
nah, man. See, no, 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 no. That's my last. So He Got Game was my last basketball game, but Spike Lee did a great job in there. Denzel again, the GOAT. Ray Allen did a really good job in that movie as an
Jesus.
actor. As Jesus Shuttleworth, and that movie I think had every young athlete saying, "I'm ready to go take a recruiting visit."
Yeah.
And anybody
Yeah.
who's seen the movie knows what I'm talking about. This is a
Mhm.
family-friendly show, so I'm not going to expand any more than that. Next up, Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Totally resonated with
John
me.
Voight,
Be-
man.
oh man, hey.
So good
So
as
the
a
thing about
coach.
Varsity Blues is this: that came out my senior year in high school, and it resonated with me because I hated my coach as much as they hated their coach. We had got a new coach senior year, and nobody liked him. He only lasted like 3 years at the high school, but Varsity Blues was just an amazing movie. This is a sports movie. Kingpin,
With Woody Harrelson? Randy Quaid?
Kingpin, Randy Quaid, Woody Harrelson.
Bowling.
This is one of Bill Murray's funniest movies. Oh
Mhm.
my God, that movie's so funny. The Coen brothers made that, right?
I'd have to double check, man.
I'm
I
pretty
haven't seen
sure
that
it
in a
was Coen
while.
brothers. And the
It's a
Coen
funny
brothers
movie
don't
though.
miss. They don't
Yeah.
miss. That movie is my pops took me and my cousin to see that movie, and we were crying laughing throughout the whole movie. Uh, this was the one that was like the last cut for my top 10, Waterboy.
Waterboy is a good one.
And I,
Yeah.
I, I thought you would say it, but I mean,
Yeah.
Waterboy, come on, like Adam Sandler, we don't have to really expand on that. And then my last
You
honorable
can
mention,
do it.
yeah, you can do it.
Rob Schneider.
Foosball, you can't play no foosball.
You can't
And
play
my
no
last
foosball.
one of my
My
honorable mentions.
mom said.
I wonder if you've seen this. If you haven't seen this one, I have the DVD. I will gladly let you watch it. A little bit before your time. Again, this is the 80s baby in me. The Wildcats. Goldie Hawn is a high school coach.
Oh yeah.
It's got Wesley Snipes,
Yeah.
Woody
Okay.
Harrelson.
I'm surprised you didn't throw Bring It On in there, dude.
Come on, don't play with me. Come
You
on
know
now.
what you know what I forgot and I just thought of right now?
What?
Bloodsport.
Not a sports movie. Because listen, because
Eh,
okay,
fighting,
I'm
but
gonna
it's
tell you a
fighting.
movie. I'll tell you a movie. I'll tell you
That's
what's
more of a
funny about
sports
this.
movie than Teen Wolf, bro.
Nah, not
It
trying to
has
hear
sport in the name
it.
and they're fighting.
You know what movie I had thought about, and I was like, do you remember No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan and Zeus Tiny,
Oh,
who
yeah,
played Nebo?
yeah.
That was a big movie when I was a kid. I'll tell you another movie. It makes my honorable mention. It's far down the list, but I was thinking about. You remember that movie Over the Top, the arm wrestling?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. With Sylvester
yeah.
Stallone, he's a truck driver.
It's not good
Come
enough
on,
though.
man. Listen,
I mean, come
I'm an
on.
'80s baby, so like I said, that's
It's not good enough.
honorable mention.
It's not
But
good enough together. Come on
Bloodsport,
now.
I listen. I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll put that on honorable
Bloodsport's
mention
a
too.
Bloodsport's a movie. A sports movie.
Oh,
And that's his.
okay. It's
That's
a
his
sport movie.
best. That's his best movie too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can agree with that.
That was
Yeah,
a good movie. That was a
very
good
good movie.
movie, man. That was a good
You have
movie.
anything else? Any other ones that you could think of that you just kind of want to talk about or anything like that?
The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale was a good one.
Great movie. Great movie.
But again, that's more of a heavy one. It's not one you're going to rewatch a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, other than that, if you want to count Hustler as a sports movie, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a great movie. Caddyshack. Caddyshack's a good one.
Yeah.
You can do
Slapshot.
Happy Gilmore. You can do Happy
You ever
Gilmore in
see?
there.
Did you ever see
Slapshot's a good one.
Slapshot? That's. I
Slapshot's a good
mean,
one.
yeah.
So there's some. I mean, there's so many. Like I said, Miracle is a nostalgic one. If I wasn't alive when that happened, but if you were and you watched that, probably resonates a little more with you.
Yeah.
There's so many sports movies, man. We didn't even talk about really any racing ones. Just Talladega Nights. We did Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
So
Days of Thunder.
Fast and Furious.
You know what's funny? No. You know what's funny? You say that, but when I was going through everything, I said, man, can I count the first Fast and Furious as a sports movie?
Nah, because it's not legitimate racing. You know what I'm saying? It's street racing.
I said
it's
to
not
myself, I
not
said,
sport
man,
racing.
if I take this kind of liberty, he might just decide afterwards. Listen, I don't know if we can do this anymore.
Yeah, we just go with top 10 movies from every year or something like that, and go with that.
Yeah. But this was a good time, man. It was a good time. I mean, we could literally just keep memory jogging and just go on for like another hour probably. But I think that great movies is the last two videos have just been full of nostalgia, right?
Yeah,
Full of
absolutely.
nostalgia. I'm feeling like a kid again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we missed anything, if there's any movies that were essential to your childhood or that you consider to be a top 10 movie, sports movie when it comes to your personal list, put it in the comments. Let's open up some discussion. Tell us what you think about the movies we discussed. If there was anything that we didn't expand on that you want to expand on more, let's engage in conversation. Let us know if you like the video. Let us know, hey, if you have any recommendations on videos that you guys would like to see, let us know. Other than that, thank you for joining us. And did you want to sign off with anything?
No, man. Yeah, just let us know. Give us ideas. We got great feedback from the video game episodes. That's why we decided to do this. We appreciate all the feedback y'all give us. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, if there's a topic you guys want us to talk about, leave it in the comments, or if you know us, message us, call us, text us, give us some ideas. I mean, we're always looking for ideas. We want, we do this to because we like it, but we want it to be entertaining for you guys too. So obviously, we're welcome. We're open to any ideas you want to hear us talk about. Other than that, we'll brainstorm. We'll be back with another episode, in a week. But for now, that's it for episode 9. Thank you all for listening, tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, we're here on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So whatever is your preference, go ahead and subscribe to us. That way you get notified every time our videos come out. But thank you again. Appreciate y'all.